And you think Baylor is underranked so far, particularly with the addition of Avery Skinner?
Well, when you look at the talent on this squad, I think you would definitely say yes, underranked. But you know, Coach McGuire is the first to tell us that he's got to figure out how to utilize the talent. And there could be some growing pains here as they figure out where to place these players in the lineup in order to get the most out of each individual. But interestingly, both of these coaches alluded to the fact, Paul, when we talked to them this week, that no one wins the preseason. You want to be good when the season starts, but you want to be great in December, and that's certainly the hope for Baylor.
And both of these teams are really testing themselves in the non-conference. We'll show you what they've got in store coming up. And they are not dodging anybody. Make no mistake about that. There is Presley wearing number 22. Yassiana Presley, 6-foot senior out of Cypress, Texas. 488 kills last year, #1 in the nation and #1 all-time in rally scoring at Baylor. Underway, first serve coming at you. Minnesota will be wearing their home white uniforms, best 3 out of 5 sets. Both of these teams, Missy, well positioned, playing some pretty good defense. They know one another's tendencies. Expect a lot of long rallies. Taylor Landfair, 6'5" sophomore out of Plainfield, Illinois. First team all conference, as you mentioned, 3 kills per set, hitting .255. She strikes first for Minnesota.
And there's a great serve there by 5 in white. That's Melanie Schaffmaster, their setter, who took over setting duties as a true freshman a season ago. And what a strange year with so much going on with these teams dealing with COVID. And then to be a freshman in the Big Ten trying to take over setting duties. She had a lot on her plate last year.
And at 6'3", with her jump float, she almost serving down into the net. And with Hugh McCutcheon's international experience, he really teaches and emphasizes serving. If you go back and look at their numbers from last year, they had 103 aces, only 85 errors. After this point, I'll get to what happened on the other side of that equation. They usually win the serve and pass battle. On the other side, Minnesota's opponents, only 95 aces, but committed 130 errors. So they were plus 53 just in serve aces and serve errors for Hugh McCutcheon. That ball missed out of bounds, and that ball missed by number 10, Stephanie Samity, 6'2", redshirt senior, graduate student in her 5th year out of Claremont, Florida. And as you mentioned, Missy, right before first serve, the reigning Big Ten Player of the Year. Some pretty good block touches, but a mishandled ball there. That ball set right in front of Minnesota, and they will take care of that all day and night long.
And of course, we wondered what we would see from Coach Ryan McGuire of Baylor, how he would distribute his talent. You're going to see us blocking there on the right side in front of Samity. In green, number 21, Elise McGee, only a freshman for Baylor, was one of the highlights of their preseason camp. So she's one of those players that they're trying to figure out how to work into this lineup.
Nice response by the Baylor Bears. Good first contact in reception, able to run their offense. And just underway, 4-3, coming on to serve now for Baylor is Emily Van Slate, 5'7" senior out of Houston, a defensive specialist. That's a nice turn down the line, thumb down once again. Typical off the right side for Samity.
And as she matures, Coach told us that she is aging well, and that's a compliment for her. Her game just continues to get better and better. It's almost hard to believe that she's the reigning Big Ten Player of the Year and that there's much room for improvement, but she's finding ways to get better.
Another service winner, this time dialed up by Minnesota. Their libero, CeCe McGraw, 5'9" senior out of Prior Lake, Minnesota. Started the first 11 matches last year, but then missed the final 8 due to injury.
And they really missed her maturity, I think, in the tournament, Paul, in terms of the ball control that she brings to the floor.
Nice dig by McGraw, coming to Samity once again in transition, and goes high flat off the top of the block. Nice little mini run by Minnesota here, a 3-0 run to take the 7-3 advantage over Baylor.
Such a smart shot, the high flat shot off the block. Just another example of her range, her improvement of shots, even a little out of system. That ball, she's having to reach across her body to take a swing at that.
That ball served out of bounds. Samity is going to be a very hot commodity when she turns pro after this fall season, and will certainly be a candidate. I know we just finished Tokyo, but she will be a candidate to be on the team in 2024 in Paris. No doubt about it. She has got that kind of pedigree. Minnesota right now out passing Baylor. Very nice play on the backslide and registering the kill.
Number 16 there in the middle for Minnesota. Ellie Huseman is a junior for them, and they've had some ups and downs in the middles here in preseason camp. They've had an ankle tweaked by Shea Rubright. So there's still some question marks in the middle for Minnesota.
That ball through the block and down, and Hugh McCutcheon told us when we were speaking with him earlier in the week, we said, what's going to happen in the middle? And he wasn't playing along. He said, I don't know. And he mentioned Ellie Huseman, and she gets to start, the 6'3 junior out of Eagan, Minnesota.
He said of Huseman that she is certainly one of their most consistent players. And so I think early in the season, any coach would give a nod to consistency.
Unforced error out of the back row. Minnesota trying to run some pipe from Schaffmaster. That time missed, and Baylor back within 2. What an addition is number 4. Avery Skinner, our first look, and what an addition she is going to be to this program. That's a nice reaction, and that ball, however, hit just out of bounds by Schaffmaster. Baylor back within 1. That ball missed badly out of bounds. Maybe some rust, maybe some non-conference, the first time in competition outside of your own gym. Not like Samity to hit a ball out of bounds. That looked like a pretty good delivery.
2 big factors in play tonight for these athletes. The fact that they're playing an out-of-conference match, something they didn't do a season ago until the NCAA tournament, and they're playing in front of fans, Paul. So a lot going on tonight that they didn't deal with a season ago.
Really nice block out of the middle once again by 6'3 junior Huseman. After working in Olympics with no fans, I am absolutely thrilled to see as many fans as possible attending sporting events. Nice tip. Good read up front by Hannah Sedgwick, 6'1 senior out of Des Moines, Iowa. Missed 10 matches last year for Baylor. Trying to find some continuity. Did Sedgwick their starting setter, an All-American in 2019, but dealt with injury through much of the season. Going back to serve now for Baylor, number 14 is Sedgwick. Really nice swing into the cross court that time, showing you some of the range of the 6'5" outside hitter Taylor Landfair.
And really her success a season ago, not a big surprise, as she was the #1 recruit in the 2020 recruiting class, and she stepped right in and got it done for the Gophers. To be a first-team All-Big Ten selection as a freshman is really something.
And play 6 rotations.
Absolutely.
I mean, that is really a nice job. That's a young lady with an awful lot of upside. Good pass, a nice cutback out of the middle executed by Kara McGee. 6'5" junior out of San Antonio, first team All Big 12 last year, and a really good blocker.
And like Minnesota, Baylor also looking for offense in the middle. We've talked so much about the firepower at the pins, but they're still looking for offense in the middle this year. Kara McGee could be a key to that. She's naturally a very good blocker. That was a strength of her game a year ago, but wanting her to become more offensive this season.
Shank pass Is Baylor trying to target Landfair, particularly when she's in the front row as an attacker and receiver?
Oh, I think absolutely. Why would you not? A young player, you know, they ask a lot of her right now. We've talked about the transfer of Adonna Rollins, the fact that Reagan Pittman in the middle is gone. So even, you know, really more offensive pressure on Landfair than a season ago when she produced huge numbers. So I absolutely think they're going to go after her.
Good read by Samity. Wennis blocked out of the back row. It's going to be a free ball coming to Baylor in green. That ball missed out of bounds. That is an opportunity that Baylor would certainly like to have back. That puts an end to an 8-3 run.
Free ball opportunity here for Baylor. And we talked about the fact that Elise McGee playing from the right side as just a freshman. Another good arm for these Baylor Bears, but that time the Minnesota block gets the best of it.
Right side, that's a good rip once again by Stephanie Samity. We'll give you the numbers as things start to add up. Elise McGee, Ryan McGuire was very, very happy to talk about his 6'4" freshman, also out of San Antonio. Added a lot of punch to go along with the addition of Avery Skinner out of the transfer portal. Neither team passing the ball consistently well right now. Nice dig by McGraw, CC McGraw, but Minnesota unable to follow up.
A look at the live arm there of Yasi Presley, and this is what makes her so dangerous, is that even in an out-of-system situation, the ball inside, well off the net, and she still just has the ability to create offense with that big jump.
Both teams doing a pretty good job from the service line. We gave you the numbers for Minnesota. Baylor not quite as impressive. They had 105 service aces last year against 240 errors, but let's remember they played a lot more matches than did Minnesota in that COVID year. Presley missed that ball just out of bounds. We're in number 22 in green, and back and forth we go, tied at 13.
Seeing some nice ball control out of the back middle court, though, by Avery Skinner for Baylor. I thought she played such a complete volleyball match there in the finals, and I think a big piece of that was the ball control that we saw from Avery Skinner. She just took her game to the next level at the end of last season.
Teams trying to put on some service pressure, get your opponent out of system. There is Avery Skinner, 6'1" senior out of Katy, Texas, first-team All-American. Hit .366 last year in terms of efficiency. That should be against the rules. A miscue there by Minnesota. So Minnesota struggling a little bit after leading by a pair. We'll step aside. We'll take the media timeout. Baylor on top of Minnesota, 15-13. Wisconsin, the Big 10, Big 12 challenge, along with former Gator star Missy Whittemore. I'm Paul Sunderland, and Baylor taking advantage of some Minnesota miscues on top, 15-13. And Avery Skinner once again transfers because of a special major, and she had a special father. I knew Brian well when I was covering the NBA and the Clippers particularly. 14 years in the NBA. You got to have some skills, and you got to be very, very disciplined and a good teammate to stick that long in the NBA.
And he's got a couple very skilled daughters, one of them being Avery, as you mentioned, chose to transfer to Baylor here with her fifth year of eligibility to start a specific academic program, and she leaves behind at Kentucky her sister Maddie, now a sophomore, who was part of that national championship team a year ago.
Baylor looking to add to their lead. 8-3 run. Minnesota has been slowed. Nice dig into the cross court. And down the line, a much-needed kill for the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
That one comes off the arm there of Jenna Winnis, wearing number 2 in white, and she's one of the new faces that we'll see this year from Minnesota, the 6'1" sophomore out of Frisco, Texas. She was part of a very good 2020 recruiting class. In fact, she was the number 5 recruit in the country.
That ball set way too tight. That is a setting error. Not even the high-flying Yazzie Presley could do anything to save that. Presley off to a little bit of a slow start. Only 1 kill on 6 swings. And that ball thrown down. Timing not quite there. Are you surprised? Because Sedgwick and Presley are playing together for their 5th season.
Well, we've seen Presley swing from both antennas, and we wondered coming into this, would she swing from the left side or the right side? Because we really haven't mentioned the fact that Baylor also has at their disposal Lauren Harrison, a junior outside hitter who was an honorable mention All-American a year ago. And so they have to figure out how to get the most out of their talent. And you have to wonder if Yazzie's been swinging from both sides, trying to figure out where to best place her, and that can cause some errors.
Was there a touch off the block? There was indeed. Very nice play by Avery Skinner, wearing number 4 in green. And you mentioned her pursuing a different academic path that wasn't available for her in Lexington. She wants to study speech pathology and get her master's. And so when Craig Skinner, the head coach of Kentucky, called up Ryan McGuire, said, "I've got a Skinner for you. She might be heading your way and you're going to be really happy about it."
That's not a call a coach gets every day. That had to be a pretty nice phone call to receive if you're Coach Ryan McGuire to have that one fall in your lap.
Well, but it says a lot about the job Coach McGuire has done building the program at Baylor to attract a transfer, the quality of Skinner.
Absolutely.
Beautiful block. Baylor trying to run some pipe. There is McGuire, now a little bit concerned and back and forth. Both teams taking advantage of some awfully strong play, but also some unforced errors.
And a really nice start here by Huseman out of the middle for Minnesota, one of the question marks who would be in that middle role, and Huseman taking advantage of this opportunity.
Vandermark able to tuck that ball inside. Marika Vandermark, 6'6" senior out of the Netherlands. She was part of that team that went to the national semifinals, as was Presley back in 2019.
Baylor without Vandermark last year in the tournament because of injury, and so great to see her back out on the court.
I'm glad you reminded me of that. That was a big factor. I did not have a Baylor match in the tournament last year, but that was indeed a big factor. Really nice swing. High off the top of the block, and give the point once again to Jenna Wenis, 6'1" sophomore out of Frisco, Texas. Played 15 matches last year in her rookie season for the Gophers. Hit .219. And remember, all of the matches last year were within the Big Ten. So she did not get a non-conference sort of a little bit of a taste. It's like, hey, go play against Wisconsin. Go play against Penn State. Go play against a much improved Ohio State team. Welcome to the party. Good first contact. And that's going to be a back row 3-meter line violation called by the first referee, Patty Rolfe, who is a really, really outstanding international referee as well and was in Tokyo.
And here's a look at what we're talking about. You see as the player swings out of the back row, Wenis that time coming right down the middle. She steps over the line with her foot. That's a violation.
Good cover. Both teams scrambling, working hard in this transition opportunity. Minnesota a little bit ahead in the point. Good cover by Wenis. Baylor fans and the bench, they wanted a lift that time against Safmaster. Boy, what a really good aggressive swing by number 2 in white, Wenis.
Really like what we're seeing out of Wenis so far. No timidity in this sophomore, even with not much playing experience. She comes right at you. And one of the great things about Minnesota and their 6 rotation outside hitters is that it gives them that back row option in all rotations.
We're going to have our first challenge.
And want to stop play for a while, you can do that. But knowing that if you use your challenge and if you're correct, you maintain it, I think will prevent coaches from being able to do that.
being told from the scorer's table that now officially it wasn't a touch at the net because the ball was ruled in, and it was in. A really nice swing by Wenus, but they were challenging whether or not there were 4 contacts, and that's something that had been added to the list a couple of years ago. And if you're wondering about the lift or lack thereof, that's a judgment call. That's not something that can be challenged. There's the swing by Wenus. So the challenge for Baylor is whether or not there were 4 contacts on the side of Minnesota. Right now, the point is on the board for the 7th-ranked Golden Gophers, and we are tied at 19.
Here's a look in white there for Baylor at 32, Chanel Bromschreiber. She was the first ever Baylor Big 12 Libero of the Year a season ago. And so we expected, obviously, to see her return in this position, but she was actually out with COVID. And so her first day of practice was on Tuesday for just 45 minutes. And she was really a question mark until game time today. So it's great to see her out there.
Last year's Big 12 Libero of the Year, the first time ever a Baylor Bear had been so distinguished. 3.6 digs per set last year to go along with 36 aces in 104 sets. Really a solid performer for Baylor. Also part of that national semifinal team back in 2019. A decision has been made. Thank you for being all so patient. Yeah, the call stands. Yeah, I didn't think there was anything there. I agree with our producer. That was weird. Well,
however,
look,
at 19-19, if there's any question, it does slow play. There's a stoppage there. Baylor has an opportunity to regroup. So if there's any question in your mind that there could have been something there, I think it's a great time to use one of your challenges.
But now you only have 2 left. Natalie Glenn, an outside hitter, 5'10" freshman out of Southlake, Texas, on to serve. That ball off the edge of the block and down. Very nice, aggressive swing by Baylor. Number 31, Lauren Harrison, 6-foot junior, out of Stone Mountain, Georgia, transfer from North Carolina.
Here's Harrison. So when we talk about wealth of outside hitters, we've talked about Presley, we have talked about Skinner. Well, don't forget Harrison. What a fantastic season she had a year ago. That honorable mention All-American campaign, a Big 12 first team selection. So many good arms on this Baylor team.
Minnesota ahead in the point, but they do not handle first contact. Now it's going to be Baylor with a free ball. Landfair with a really good swing to dig the Gophers out of trouble.
Landfair, nice footwork here. This out of system ball to get herself in position to take a really nice rip at it. And what
you forget she's 6'5", Missy. Excuse me. You know, her footwork is so good. Her arm swing pretty explosive.
Yeah, Coach touched on the fact that she has such great control, such great touch on the ball for a player of her length, and we're getting a good look at that.
3rd kill on 8 swings for Landfair. Going to get another opportunity here. That a tough one, just keeping the ball in play. Nice quick play out of the middle once again by McGee, making herself available.
Seeing McGee there in the middle for Baylor, and we continue to see the pieces of the puzzle come together. With Harrison on the floor, we were actually seeing Presley swing from the right side for a rotation there. Now we look up and we see Yasiati Presley back at the left side. So I think we're going to continue to see this puzzle of Baylor's players evolve as the match goes on.
Well, it's nice to have options. Ryan McGuire has been quoted as saying this is the most talented, this is by far the deepest Baylor team he's ever had, and that includes a team that went to the national semis. That's why I asked you if they were underranked so far early on. Tied at 21.
He also said with all that talent, Paul, that one of their big indicators of success would be how much they're willing to sacrifice for one another, you know, to give way for different players as a match goes on. Whoever has the hot hand, can they accept their roles? Those will be big question marks. This is a 23-woman roster, and those are a lot of players to manage.
Big swing by number 22. That was a perfect example about what Yaziana Presley, the former National Player of the Year, can do for Baylor.
And this is why it's such a hard decision if you're Coach McGuire. It seems that maybe naturally Yasi could swing from the right side, that you could have Harrison and Skinner on the floor swinging from the left side, but then she does this. And in a game that's somewhat naturally slanted toward more attempts from that left pin, it's hard not to have her out there. Since the first time I saw her, and it wasn't even in person. You know, saw her on TV and just was amazed with her ability.
Azani Teeler, a big part of that success as well, along with Maddie Skinner. Up into the block and rejected by Minnesota as they get back within one, coming out of the timeout.
And this time it's Katie Myers in the middle now that we're seeing from Minnesota. And we saw Katie Myers share some time in the middle last year with Rue Bright, opposite of Pittman. And so she has a little experience over the course of last season. But as we mentioned earlier, Rue Bright had a sprained ankle during preseason. Don't know that we'll see her, but I think we'll see a combination of players in the middle for Minnesota.
The ball was called in by the linesman, but overruled by the first referee. We might have another challenge. The point is on the board for Minnesota. By my eye, it looked like the ball was in. The point on the board once again for the Golden Gophers, tied at 23. We will not have another challenge. Good reception. And Vandermark, the left-hander, cross-body off the edge of the block, and set point number 1 for the 10th-ranked Bears.
Such a nice swing for Vandermark, and you just see what she brings to the court with that left-handed swing coming down the right side, the ability to wipe it off the block. That's just so hard to defend. Timeout
called by Minnesota, and letting Vandermark and the Baylor Bears think about this one before they serve it up to Minnesota for their first set point opportunity.
Hannah Sedgwick here, going against the flow. She's pulled into left front. Really nice setting choice. Make that middle blocker chase, and she gives Vandermark a little room to swing at.
Been impressed so far by Chanel Bramschreiber. You mentioned the struggles she had with COVID and just stepping right into the lineup. She's played a lot of volleyball. This is no big deal. She wants to play, and once again the reigning Libero of the Year in the Big 12 Conference. Baylor Bears were picked second in the conference behind only the Texas Longhorns, and that won't happen much longer because Texas and Oklahoma are headed for your neck of the woods. They're going to be playing in the SEC. It was scheduled to be 2025, but the newest reports are it could be as early as next year.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah, that's going to be a quick change. And wow, that's going to be good for SEC volleyball to have Kentucky, Florida, Texas all battling throughout the season. It's going to be a lot of fun.
How about South Carolina with a big win earlier today over Washington State?
Absolutely huge win, and what a nice little tournament they have going on there at the South Carolina volleyball facility, because following that match they had Rice and Pitt going head to head. That is a fun little tournament, and it went to 5 before Pitt finally eked one out. Set point number 1.
Bramschreiber ready at the defensive end, and a service error. Can't do that. You can't serve the ball in. Serving long is almost okay because your opponent might make a mistake, and Presley is very experienced. She knows she made a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely can't have that.
Both teams pretty conservative right now from the service line, and there is going to be a net violation called against Minnesota. That ball was hit out of bounds by Yazi Presley, but a break that time for Baylor as they get their second set point.
Yeah, Baylor certainly saved by the Minnesota mistake, but realize when you're that aggressive of a swinger out of the back court, you do draw those players into the net. You create those mistakes because of the effort that they're putting forth to try to defend.
That ball missed out of bounds. Was there a touch? There was not. So an unforced error by the Golden Gophers. And two ranked teams out of the Big Ten and the Big 12 respectively. And striking first are the visitors, if you will, from Baylor. They take the opening set 26-24. Thanks so much for joining us as we kick off the college volleyball season from Madison, Wisconsin. It's the Big 12 Big Ten Challenge. Baylor on top 1-0. Very even opening set here in Madison, Wisconsin. Back with Missy Whittemore, former Florida star. I'm Paul Sunderland. Even on the scoreboard, and you look at the stats, Baylor hits 207, Minnesota hits 206. With the season just underway, let's take a look. Texas on top, followed by Wisconsin, Kentucky, and Washington. Look at those four teams. What do they have in common, Missy? They were all in the national semifinals last year, and because of COVID, they've got virtually everybody coming back.
Yeah, those teams return a lot. When you look at Washington, Wisconsin, Texas, I mean, I do think obviously there's some question marks for Kentucky, but so much respect for what they've done there that I'm not surprised to see them ranked that high in the preseason poll.
Ohio State, another Big Ten team, as if they needed another one, really making some noise. Penn State, as we mentioned, a loser earlier today. And a breakdown by conference. No surprise, Big Ten with 6, Pac-12 as well, led by Washington. ACC with 4, the West Coast Conference with 3, the Big 12 with just 2. That would be Texas and Baylor, and Conference USA and the SEC round out the conference breakdown of the top 25. Your thoughts on the opening set, Missy?
Well, I thought it was exactly what we would get out of these two teams, a slugfest back and forth. I think there were some errors, you know, that you would expect from a match one, but the score stays tight, pushed it all the way to the end. I mean, two top 10 opponents. I think it's exactly what we expected. Certainly still trying to work out some wrinkles.
And we're getting used to this. You'll notice that the teams did not change sides. That was a COVID precaution from last year that has carried over so far to this year. And Landfair wearing number 12 in white with the kill. Give you her numbers so far. That's 4 kills on 9 swings, no errors. A pretty nice start. You mentioned sort of tongue-in-cheek that Ryan McGuire brought all 23 of his players. He said, we've got a very big private airplane down in Waco, Texas, and in the non-conference there are no limitations, so he brought all 23 of his players. That won't be happening each and every weekend.
Yeah, they legally wouldn't be able to travel that many during conference play. So obviously some decisions will have to be made. So these are very important.
Man, that is the biggest bullpen I have ever seen in a volleyball match. Look at all those kids. Oh, it's great. It's great because a lot of those kids won't get to travel. This is a wonderful experience for them. Not only to come and see Wisconsin in the field house, but tomorrow they'll play in front of a sold-out crowd of 7,000. Nice play off the left side by Harrison, registering the kill. Got to be careful over there. Swinging elbows, somebody might get hurt.
They all seem to be pretty excited to be here.
Harrison with her second kill on 4 swings, and nice choice. Off speed that time by Samity.
Samity's choice of shots, obviously, just what a veteran she is now. Sees the court so well, understands the game so well. Coach talked about the fact that she really wanted another year of development. You mentioned what a commodity she'll be at the pro level, but at the pro level, obviously, not a lot of investment in developing players. As Coach said, you're really just a gun for hire, and she knows here at Minnesota she will be developed for another year.
A wet spot. The players doing some maintenance there. You got to make sure the floor is dry. Yassiana Presley, what a career she has had. 4-time All-American. I was watching some of the highlights from the match earlier on. Dana Retke, also a 4-time first-team All-American, so she'll be a 5-time first-team All-American. Service winner again, and that's how this match started out for Minnesota. They were winning the serve and receive battle, and that's Schaffmaster dialing up another ace.
Yeah, it was Schaffmaster who was a big part of that win from the service line early in this match, and here she goes again.
Pretty good first contact, but that ball missed out of bounds. a number of hitting errors. You look at that's 7 hitting errors now for Baylor, an equal number, make it 6 hitting errors so far for Minnesota. Both of these teams usually very, very low error rate. They don't give their opponents free points. Nice read by Schaffmaster, stepping right into the line of fire. Then the ball put away off the right side. Nice transition by Minnesota.
Really nice transition dig, nice setting choice there by Schaffmaster. Makes the, or excuse me, not Schaffmaster, that's CeCe McGraw coming out of the back court, allowing for Samity to take a big rip at the ball.
I was really impressed by McGraw a couple of seasons ago. I think it might have even been her freshman year. She stepped right in, was starting in the Big Ten for Minnesota, and then had that injury-plagued season last year. That hurt the Golden Gophers a lot. That is a really good block. Strong block that time. Was that Samity who got it on the outside, or Landfair?
I believe that was Landfair that time, but great movement there in the middle by Minnesota, the middle blocker, moving to her left, making a really strong close there.
Both teams pretty quiet so far in the blocking phase. We'll give you those numbers. Minnesota doing a good job from the service line until that miscue. And now on top 6-3, trailing 1-0. Schaffmaster, a real physical presence at 6'3" at the setting position. Beautiful play out of the back row. Wennis, she has shown an ability to put the ball away out of the pipe.
And she's running the pipe right down the middle. And notice who's blocking for Baylor right down the middle there. That's number 10, Vandermark, who we typically see on the right side. And one of the things that they're trying in their lineup are a couple of rotations with number 10, Vandermark, down the middle. That left-handed player, a little different look for them running down the middle.
Little miscommunication in area 5. Serve into the cross court. And point on the board for Minnesota from the service line. Rachel Kilkelly, 5'9" junior out of Shakopee, Minnesota. Working on Presley. And that ball missed out of bounds. Pretty good first contact. That's just an unforced hitting error by the Baylor Bears. 9-3 lead for Hugh McCutcheon and Minnesota, and a quick and needed timeout. 19-4 so far in August.
Another good serve by Minnesota.
That's a good rip down the line once again by number 10, Samity.
And Baylor really never had a chance in that point because of the great serving that we're seeing from Minnesota, just keeping Baylor out of system.
Kilkelly's done a nice job from the line. Another out of system swing. Dug by McGraw. And Wennis off the edge of the block. Wennis has done a nice job. He wondered, and you talked about it in the fact that that Landfair and Samity take more than 50% of the swings. Who would be that third wheel? It's been Adana Rollins, but she has transferred to Penn State.
Jenna Wennis really stepping into that role quite nicely, and Coach had so many good things to say about her, but I think one of the biggest compliments in the game, particularly from Hugh McCutcheon, is that you're a complete player, because we know that he likes complete players and he's had a lot of good ones, and he said that of Jenna Wennis.
I just want to finish the thought on Adana Rollins, who was having a wonderful career at Minnesota. But you talked about the #1 recruiting class brought in by Hugh McCutcheon. So Hugh only had 1 more year of scholarship for Adana Rollins. She was able to get 2 years at Penn State and wants to get her master's. So that's why she left. It's not that she was unhappy at Minnesota at all. It was just strictly a business decision. And once Hugh explained it, it sounded like a very, very easy decision for Rollins.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot like Avery Skinner. You have to appreciate the fact that these young women are really thinking about their future and investing in their education and using their volleyball to be able to do that.
Nice play by Vandermark off the right side. And boy, did Baylor miss her in the tournament last year, not only with her offense, but also defensive phase as a 6'6" right side blocker.
Absolutely. Beautiful set here. Nice distribution that time by Hannah Sedgwick. And I know they like her in the middle for a few rotations, but boy, that lefty swing from the right side sure does look nice.
And during the timeout, we could hear Hugh McCutcheon reminding his Golden Gophers that, look, number 10, forget it. She's in the middle right now. Let's be aware of her. As another number 10, Samity goes back to serve. Minnesota comfortably on top 13-5. Good touch by McGraw. That ball is going to be into the antenna and out of bounds. A tough chance for number 4, Skinner.
Yeah, not a lot she could do with that one out of system. That ball's flying into the antenna. She was doing everything she could to make a play on it. She actually played it left-handed, try to keep it in bounds.
Bram Schreiber along with Skinner. They are new as far as a receiving pair, so they are over-communicating, if you will. Good pass, and Sedgwick, pretty good size setter. We talked about Schaffmaster at 6'3", Sedgwick at 6'1", able to go on 2 contacts, or tried to, but missed that into the net. Another timeout is called by Ryan McGuire, trailing 15-5, and now Baylor is out of timeouts here in the second set after Baylor won the first 26-24.
All kinds of pressure from Minnesota here in set 2 from the service line, and it just looks so easy when you're serving the ball as well as Minnesota is.
Both teams, as we mentioned, very, very close in terms of their hitting percentage. In the second, not so much. Minnesota hitting a cool 800, and yes, you can hit negative in terms of volleyball statistics. It's not a batting average. It's kills minus errors divided by attempts. So if you see a negative sign, that means the Baylor Bears right now have more hitting errors, in other words, balls hit out of bounds or blocked on their side, than they do kills. Boy, look at that gaggle of green jerseys. That's a traffic jam over there.
So many decisions to be made, and the level of competition so high when you start your season at the Big 10, Big 12 tournament, you know, going up against the very best. Coach McGuire said to us, hey, we're either going to play for hopefully a top 4 seed if we go out and look really good early on, or we're at least going to learn a whole lot about ourselves with the level of competition that we're going to face in opening weekend.
And speaking of the level of competition, we know what it is in the Big 10. Day in, day out, match in, match out. The Big 12 is not nearly as strong. It's top heavy, 2 elite programs with Texas and Baylor. But does their conference schedule prepare them as it need be to make a deep run in the tournament?
I mean, I think you'd have to say no, and that's out of their control, which puts even more pressure on a coaching staff, perhaps in a league where your team isn't being tested throughout the season. One of the strengths of Baylor is going to be the competition in their own gym this season, because they are so deep, and can they get the most out of that?
That's exactly right. You got to do it in your own gym and really challenge yourself. Double contact is called against Sedgwick, and the lead continues to grow. Boy, they are targeting Skinner, who was rock solid in receive in that national championship match. Vandermark again going over the top, looking for a touch, not getting one, and the roll continues for Minnesota in complete control right now of this second set.
And you wonder, what else can Baylor try? We've seen a whole lot of Hannah Sedgwick at the setting position tonight. They do actually have Callie Williams, a smaller setter, and they have the ability to flip into a 6-2. They have the firepower for it. That's a way for them to switch things up, something to keep an eye out for.
Nice chase by Samity. And Vandermark again, nicely done. Good delivery that time by Sedgwick, and you make a good point. Callie Williams, 5'9" senior transfer from Tennessee, played 25 matches last year and made 16 starts when Sedgwick got hurt.
Yeah, really nice ball there from Sedgwick that time. A nice flat set. I like the tempo and the pace of that.
Vandermark now with 5 kills on 10 swings, hitting .400 efficiency. A reverse tip that time, well out of bounds, unforced error from Schaffmaster. That's a pretty good idea. I
Yes,
kind of like that. You know, with a 17-6 lead, I don't mind that shot at all.
Yeah,
and especially she was able to try. Yeah, she was able to try it because Minnesota's passing right on target.
Absolutely. I was going to say, as a coach, I don't really have a problem with that error. That was a pretty good error by Schaffmaster. I like her going for it there.
Minnesota was picked 4th in the Big Ten Conference. Wisconsin was picked 1st, followed by Nebraska, then Penn State, then Minnesota, then Purdue. Purdue had a nice run in the NCAA tournament last year, and congratulations to the Boilermakers' Annie Drews, one of the gold medalists for Karch-Kiraly. There's the preseason poll. As just mentioned, Wisconsin, no surprise there. Virtually everybody back except for Molly Haggerty. Nebraska's got a very, very good incoming freshman class, playing without Micklin Haynes right now, or sprained her ankle the other day in their scrimmage. Penn State, Minnesota, and then Purdue. It's tough. That is a tough list of teams.
Absolutely. Those are all legitimate contenders. You wonder, we'll see more from Penn State. That's a team who's going to have to grow into their lineup. A lot of new faces. They could be maybe a little overrated, but the rest of them you have to feel like are going to be right there at the top.
Nice turn down the line by Skinner. You mentioned winning the national championship. I looked at the box score over Texas. She had 14 kills, 6 digs, and 3 blocks. Playing with her sister. That had to be a very, very special moment.
I actually thought maybe one of her best performances in the NCAA tournament was the semifinal match against Washington. She led the Wildcats in kills in that match, and just great ball control. I mean, she was a shoo-in for NCAA all-tournament team. Just really a great all-around performance.
Well, she's so solid, very experienced, played at a high level, well coached by Craig Skinner, no relation, and fundamentally very sound. Good all-around 6th rotation player. That ball missed out of bounds, service error, but Minnesota's put on good pressure from the service line, leading by 11 as Skinner goes back to serve. We'll give you her numbers. 3 kills on 9 swings, does have 1 ace and half a dozen digs. She will head to the sideline. You wondered about some changes being brought on by Ryan McGuire and his he's got 2 full football teams. He's got an offense and a defense. He's got 23 players with him and a kicker. Nice chop out of the middle. Minnesota is getting just enough production out of the middle to keep the block of Baylor occupied. Katie Myers able to get that ball to the floor.
Yeah, as you said, just enough production, and I think the key there is for them to be low error and for Schaffmaster to choose her times wisely, and she is certainly doing that.
Swing off the edge of the block by Lauren Harrison, who's having a nice match so far on both the right and the left side. Harrison now those 4 kills on 8 swings.
And realize those swings from the right side are going to feel a little different. The ball is coming at you from a different angle, and she's a player who primarily swung from the left side as a season ago. She's out here at the left antenna now, and it's Yossi Presley from the right side with a big rip. So Baylor continues to throw new looks at Minnesota, and why not? Trailing here in the second, they're trying to spark a fire.
Really good block touch to give an opportunity for the Baylor Bears, and that ball missed out of bounds. That was very, very close out of the middle. You can tell by the Minnesota Golden Gophers hanging around together, they thought that ball might have caught a piece. No challenge though here with a big lead, 21-12. You have to be very judicious in your use of challenges under this college system. Schaffmaster is stuffed on the outside, and Lauren Harrison and the Baylor Bears making a little bit of a move.
You see there, Vandermark in the middle, not used to playing middle blocker, doesn't really even come close to closing that one. That's Harrison all alone, and it won't matter. Good block by Harrison, reaching back in.
Good response, Schaffmaster able to put that ball away. And Kelly will come on to serve.
These are some of the decisions coaches have to make this opening weekend as they put together the pieces of the puzzle with Vandermark on the floor. It's one more offensive weapon, but do you give up something in the blocking game? And so these are the kind of things that the coaches are looking at here in opening weekend.
Good swing by number 10, Samity. You know, towards the end of a set, in the red zone, over 20, number 10 is going to get the ball a lot in the right front or out of the right back as well.
Absolutely. You want to shut the door right here. Don't give Baylor any opportunity, and your best chance of doing that is put the ball in the hands of Samity.
That ball tucked down inside by Vandermark. Have you ever seen a left-handed middle blocker?
Yeah, a few. It is very rare, and I do think the fact that it's so rare, it's going to take, it does at times take the block a set to kind of catch up, learn how to line up against that left arm.
Well, I really like that delivery, looking for a touch off the top of the block. Jenna Wenis wearing number 2 in white, the 6'1" sophomore, played again 15 matches last year. Been very, very impressive to start this 2021 season. Or was last year 2021? I never be able to get that right. Set point number 1.
Yassiana Presley says not quite yet, but to continue your thought, Paul, on Jenna Wenis, 19 kills all last season and already has 7 here tonight. She's well on her way to a great start and I think becoming a regular in this Minnesota lineup.
Yeah, that 19 is going to be surpassed this opening weekend.
Yes.
Wenis again looking high hands, but that ball missed just out of bounds, and a really nice dig into the cross court on the first swing by number 2 in white. Seven kills, 6 digs for Wenis. Here's Presley. Very easy serve. And as I thought, in the red zone, going to number 10, Samity. Even I could figure that one out, Missy.
I think everyone could figure it out. It's can you stop it is the question, and it's a hard one to stop.
The answer is not very often. That's why she's the reigning Big Ten Player of the Year, playing a 5th season, giving Minnesota an awful lot. Tied at a set apiece. We'll step aside here from Wisconsin. You're watching the Big Ten on ESPN as we welcome you inside once again.
It really all happened for Minnesota from the service line in set 2, where they created a whole lot of pressure and Baylor could just never get on a run. Stephanie Samity, of course, leading the way with those 11 kills. And Jenna Wenis, what a pleasant surprise. 7 kills on the left side. We talked about it coming in. Who emerges as that 4th arm for Minnesota? And we're seeing Jenna Wenis step into that role.
You talked about the service line. It doesn't always tell the story, but pretty efficient. We talked about that before the match even got underway, really, how good Minnesota is from the service line. 6 aces against only 5 errors, but they also got Baylor out of system an awful lot. Sometimes it's about when you serve in, what does your opponent pass against you? And so far, at least in the second set, and in a lot of the first, Minnesota had the better of it as Wenis will go back to serve to start this 3rd set. Best 3 out of 5. Last year, Baylor was 20-7, knocked out of the NCAA tournament in the 2nd round by Nebraska. Hugh McCutcheon's Golden Gophers, they tied for 2nd in the Big Ten Conference. They also lost in the 2nd round to the Pitt Panthers. That ball is out of bounds, so a service error and then a miscue here by the Golden Gophers, and a quick start for Sedgwick and the Baylor Bears.
And that's Kara McGee up there in the middle right now for Baylor, their most experienced middle blocker, and she's patrolling the net, puts up a nice block for Baylor. There's still a question mark in terms of opposite her, who's going to play that 2nd middle blocker position. That time moving to her left, drifts off the net just a little and allows Minnesota to bang one through.
Boy, that was a really nice play by Samity, taking out the trash, because Wisconsin was in real trouble. Just throw it back there and good things will happen most of the time. How does Hugh McCutcheon get all these players out of Texas and Florida to go to Minneapolis? Don't they know it's freezing there?
I think you go to a home game at Minnesota and experience that, and I'm sure that leaves a lasting impression on some of these young recruits.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth in that. The Pavilion in Minneapolis is a wonderful home court. Katie Myers, nicely done out of the middle. There is Hugh McCutcheon, now starting his second decade in Minneapolis. How time flies. It seems very recently that he was on the sideline with the USA women back in 2012.
He talks about the way he trains his players and that many of them aspire to volleyball beyond the Minnesota gym. The USA gym is a real goal for many of his ladies, and he certainly has the ability to train them for that.
Well, you know, we've talked about how powerful and how solid the Big Ten is, basically from top to bottom. In the Big Ten, between 2006 and 2017, the Big Ten won 9 NCAA championships, and they were runners-up in 18 and 19. I mean, it's like you can't hold a tournament unless there's a Big Ten team in the national semifinals or finals. They've done a magnificent job as a conference supporting and developing this game, and it shows. 7,000 people on hand for match number 1 between Wisconsin and TCU. Sellouts. The Devaney Center, they had 8,000 people at the Devaney Center for a scrimmage. Nice block. Beautiful. Was that Vandermark? That might be her first stuff block as a middle.
And you heard the big celebration there from her and her teammates as she's worked hard to try to come up with a big block, and this time alongside Yassiana Presley, they put up a wall there for Taylor Lanfear.
Baylor looking to extend their early lead. And that ball tapped down. That ball 50-50, and so Baylor being aggressive. Harrison will be credited with that tap down, number 31 in green, the transfer from North Carolina. Boy, they are really working over area number 5. Oh, what a big block. Yassiana Presley on the outside with maybe a little bit of help from Marika Vandermark. So Minnesota got off to the quick start in set number 2. Well, right now, all the momentum is wearing a green jersey. They are blocking balls. You're watching the Big Ten on ESPN as we welcome you back once again to Madison, Wisconsin. Top 10 matchup between the number 7 Golden Gophers of Minnesota, the 10th ranked Baylor Bears. It's the Big Ten Big 12 Challenge with former Florida star Missy Whittemore out in Gainesville, Florida. I'm Paul Sunderland in Southern California, tied at a set apiece. Baylor, the quick start here in the third, up 7-3. Perfect first contact leads to a pressureless kill.
I like the choice there by Schaffmaster, finding the right time to use her middles. A little less experienced attackers. That's Katie Myers right now, the redshirt senior, right down the middle. Beautiful ball from Schaffmaster.
Myers now with 3 kills on 6 swings. Samity leading the way with 12 kills on 26. That is really good. First ball contact once again, leading to an easy side out score by Harrison.
Big rip here by Harrison. We've seen a couple nice swings from her from the right pin where she looks really comfortable. That ball well inside, and she just goes after it. She's
the advantage of being in system. Excuse me, Missy. The block was not well formed, and Samity comes right back with a strong answer.
I feel as though we say that a lot. Samity comes right back with a strong answer. That's certainly her strong suit. She puts this team on her back. She has the ability to get that kill when they need it.
Good shot up into the block, recycle the point. And Vandermark again. Let's talk about Samity. Schaffmaster is still a young player, and you pointed it out. because of COVID last year and playing in the spring, there wasn't that individual training block. And then there wasn't again this last spring. So Schaffmaster, if she gets really good over her head, Samity's going to have a huge year, and so is Minnesota. I'm not saying she isn't already, but that's going to be one of the keys. Unforced error off the left side.
Yeah, to think of some of these freshmen, even if they came in early in January in the spring before their freshman year, you didn't have that spring practice because of COVID. You roll into season. Now realize the Big Ten played the entirety of their season in the spring, so they would have had some individual training in the fall, whereas the Big 12 played fall and spring seasons. So they really have not had that individual training time.
You know, that was a pretty smart shot by Vandermark, just a better block that time. Wennis on the outside with some help in the middle. Once again by number 16, Ellie Huseman, who's done a nice job in the middle wearing number 16 in white. Oh, that's a good block. Minnesota did very little with that first touch. And taking advantage, Vandermark able to stuff that ball down. Don't tell me I'm not a middle blocker. That's a heck of a transition, though, from outside to middle.
Yeah, really nice job on her part reading there. And if you're Minnesota, here comes Avery Skinner all of a sudden. Just when you get used to lining up as a blocker against one attacker, they throw someone else at you.
Skinner did get a little bit of that. 5 blocks so far for Baylor. I'll give you Minnesota's total after this play. Nice dig by Presley. Joust coming, and that time won by Sedgwick of Baylor.
And that's one of the things that can be a separator for her as a 6'1" setter, is her ability to play above the net. Of course, Minnesota has a pretty tall setter of their own, so both of these ladies can be really good above the net as setters.
Sunday night, we cap the Heineken rivalry week with a Cascadia Cup matchup. The Sounders square off against the Timbers at Lumen Field. Our coverage begins at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific on ESPN. ESPN Deportes and the ESPN app. One app, one tap. Missy, say it for me, would you? One app, one tap. You got that?
One tap. Doesn't get any easier than that.
There you go. Even I can remember that. Let's take a look at the hitting percentage once again by set. It was very even in the first. That was 26-24, won by Baylor. It was all Minnesota in the second, 25-16. We'll get that for you momentarily. It's coming. It's coming. We want to show you the hitting percentage. There you go, Minnesota. Remember we showed you early on in the second set they were hitting 800. Now they're hitting 0, which means they have as many kills as errors, and Baylor at 250 so far for the match. 198 for Baylor and 198 for Minnesota. Yeah, two pretty tightly ranked, pretty tightly matched teams right now, kicking off their 2021 campaigns. The NCAA championships will be in Columbus, Ohio once again at Nationwide Arena, and the tournament will be back once again in December, where it has always been. This has been a turnaround like no other. From April 24th, a championship match in Omaha between Kentucky and Texas, won by the Wildcats, and then turning right around. That was 4 months and 3 days ago. There, 125 days since the volleyball championship, 113 days until the next champion. Wow. Okay, here we go.
Columbus will be a great host city. You need to be buying tickets for that one now.
You better have tickets. They're going to be very, very hard to come by. I think people, I was watching the Texas-San Diego match earlier today. Gregory Gym, which is a magnificent volleyball facility, as good as any in the country. I mean, that place was packed. I don't know if it was a sellout to the rafters, but it was really crowded. People are really hungry to get back in an arena and see live sports.
And volleyball is such a fun live sport and such a funny game, and how quickly the momentum can change. It looked like it came so easily to Minnesota there in set 2, and now it's Baylor hitting 250 and Minnesota hitting 0 here in the third set.
Got to take care of serve and receive, and right now Baylor much better in that phase of the game. Presley saying there was a touch at the net, pointing at one of her opponents, and there was indeed a touch off the block, and Presley registers the kill. She now has 10 kills on, make it 9 kills on 24 swings.
Nice setting choice. I really like Presley out of that right back.
A battle of the opposites, or battle of the big hitters off the right side. As Samity comes right back, we'll give you her numbers. Number 10, 14 kills on 30 swings already. Is one of the biggest challenges, Missy, managing the workload for a player like Samity in a conference like the Big Ten? Takes so many swings.
I think so, but I think what we're going to see in this strange season with these fifth-year seniors who have the ability to return is some really mature, wise volleyball players who know how to manage themselves throughout a long conference season. I think we're going to see high-level play from some of these fifth-year seniors, including Samity.
Samity now with 1,499 career kills. Not many players in college volleyball with 1,500.
And I don't know what they do with the record books with some of these players playing a fifth season now. I mean, the numbers are just going to be monstrous.
We'll let somebody else figure that one out. Right now, Minnesota has figured out some nice blocking to get back into this set, or try to get back into it, trailing 14-9. Nice play once again by Katie Myers.
Katie Myers with 1.41 blocks per set a season ago, was starting early in the season for Minnesota, and I think blocking was a big reason why.
Service winner. Make that a clean service ace that time by Melanie Schaffmaster. She's got a handful. Service aces for Schaffmaster. That is her 4th ace. Wow. A real weapon at 6'3".
She's a real threat from the service line.
In my opinion, that ball should not go down. That was trouble from the beginning. You got to be crashing if you're Minnesota.
Yeah. Avery Skinner handles it pretty well, but not a lot of options for McGee there.
Graham Shriver with a nice dig. Once again, Presley showing you expertly use of the high flat.
And starting to look pretty comfortable swinging from the right side.
We talked about Schaffmaster and her ability to go over her head. The same for Hannah Sedgwick. Oh, that's a nice set. Good little pokey by Bramschreiber, and able to put the ball away. Lauren Harrison, been kind of a revelation for me. Again, I didn't see Baylor last year in the tournament, and we weren't traveling, so I did not get to see Baylor. I saw them on television, of course, against Texas, but she's having a nice match. Harrison now 5 of 11. Good short serve, and that ball is roofed.
And another big
Vandermark knows how to celebrate when she blocks the ball.
She works hard for those. She's starting to understand just how many steps those middle blockers put in. You alluded to the fact earlier, Paul, that Avery Skinner and Bramschreiber, 2 great ball control players, are of course playing side by side for the first time in their careers. And I think we saw early in this match those two feeling each other out, learning how to play side by side, to read each other, to communicate without any verbal communication, just knowing where they are on the floor, and already they're looking more smooth together.
Boy, a lot of tipping going on, and that ball is ruled to the floor. Good use of the off speed by Minnesota. They make you play. If everything's not just right, they're going to tip the ball. And coming on, Airi Mayabi, 6-foot redshirt senior out of Osaka, Japan. Played for College of Southern Idaho as a junior college player and won a national championship. And that ball served, wow, just out of bounds that time by Kilkelly.
Briseño coming on for Baylor. She's a freshman for these Bears, a defensive specialist too. Coach McGuire had a lot of good things to say about, said she passed so well in their scrimmage against Texas A&M in the absence of Bromschreiber, passed a 2.8 in that match. They were so pleased with her performance.
And when we talked to Coach McGuire, he thought that given Bromschreiber's battle with COVID and the testing thereof, that he was very comfortable with Briseño stepping right in and playing a very, very quality match, possibly at the libero. Nice read that time by Sedgwick.
A shoot over by Schaffmaster, but Bromschreiber is right there, and that's just too easy.
Tough chance for Presley. We'll just wrist that ball in. Nice shot up into the block to restart the point. And Presley again down the line. Look out below Schaffmaster.
Beautiful ball from Skinner out of middle back, diving to her right, places it right on top of the setter. Great ball control. And the finish not so bad either.
Yeah, you better be careful walking up the line if you're a right back defender for anybody playing against number 22 in green this year, or last year, or the year before, or the year before that. Vandermark at the defensive end, and now turning it on offensively. This is going to be very interesting to see how this evolves for Baylor over the course of the year.
You talked about if we ever seen a left-handed middle blocker. There's an interesting use of that left-handed talent. I like that swing down the middle.
Big lead for Baylor. The first set was close, and after that it's just been blowout, return by blowout. 26-24, 25-16. Now 22-11. And that ball just missed out of bounds. A rare mistake. Briseño did a nice job coming in, serving and patrolling the back court. Remember, Ryan McGuire told us that this was by far his deepest, most talented team, and that's saying a lot.
You think immediately of their 2019 team that went to the national semifinal. So yes, that's a pretty heady comparison.
Oh, that's a good swing. Wenis has been really impressive. That was a difficult swing.
Yeah, I'm just so impressed with Wenis.
8 kills on 28 swings. A big deep breath there. 28 swings. That's a lot of work.
Wow, what a great job she does getting well off the court to give herself room to swing, but that's a hard ball to receive over your right shoulder. It's coming to you out of left back, and she just buries it.
Still a comfortable lead for Baylor. Boy, somehow Sedgwick got that ball through the middle blocker's hands. That was number 16, Huseman.
Yeah, Huseman right where she needed to be, and you know that's a play she would like to have back. I don't know how Sedgwick managed to get that one through.
Well, Baylor's going to win this third set, but if you're Minnesota, you want to make them really work for it. Try to find a little rhythm, a little momentum. Don't let them just cruise across the finish line. And Skinner is blocked. Nice play on the perimeter. Huseman once again with some help from Samity.
Right, you would certainly hope that Minnesota could create some momentum to carry into the next set. That's why I'm so impressed with Baylor's performance here in set 3, because they really struggled in that second set, had no momentum coming out of set 2, and have really turned things around between sets 2 and 3.
On the overpass, easy tap down by Huseman, and nice reaction off the miscue in serve reception. Boy, that's a serving mistake if you ask me. That was right in the lap of Brandschreiber, the libero. who just passed that ball perfectly.
Yeah, and it's coming off of a play where Skinner had just shanked a ball, passed a ball too tight to the net. And so I think you got to continue to go at Skinner right there. Don't give Bramschreiber a shot.
Set point number 1. And Baylor ho-hum has 9 of them. That's a nice tip down the line into the open space outside the block once again by Samity. Having a big match, 15 kills, but 35 swings to get there.
Samity, of course, so comfortable swinging from the right side, swinging out of right back. And you wonder over the course of the season if Baylor will create a system where Yassiana Pressley looks a lot like Samity, swinging out of that right back position.
You saw that Samity just had her 1,500th kill, 10th all time. Trust me, that includes a lot of players from the side out era.
Yeah.
Yeah, the record keeping for sports information directors who are already overworked and underpaid.
Yeah.
With all these COVID seniors or senior pluses, if you will, it just got a lot more complicated. That ball served out of bounds, so it took them a couple of set points to get there. But Baylor now with a 2-1 advantage. So teams take turns cruising against one another. Baylor wins it to take the advantage 25-17 here in Madison. 10 challenge. Baylor and Minnesota, the Baylor Bears on top 2-1, and it's been up and down, back and forth, Missy. 2 pretty good teams and a lot of talent on the perimeter.
So many questions. We wondered how would they utilize all their talent, the Baylor Bears. We knew we'd see a lot of Yassi Pressley. We've seen her from the right side and the left side. But set 2, it was all Minnesota. And a bright spot for them, the play of Jenna Winnis, the sophomore from the left side. Good from the service line as well. She's been solid. We said who will materialize in terms of that extra arm? Well, it could be Jenna Winnis. And of course, we knew there'd be the familiar face of Minnesota, that of Stephanie Samity. She's been good all night. Set 3, though, some unique use of that Baylor talent as they try to get all those talented players on the floor at once. We've seen number 10 Vandermark, normally a right side player, out of the middle for the Bears. As they try to put the pieces of this talented puzzle together, they come storming back after a poor performance in set 2 to take set 3 and lead this one 2-1.
Vandermark is 12 of 21, hitting .476, by far best in the match, and she has officially 6 block assists, which I guarantee you is a career high.
Good for her. Good for her. And I like the fact that she's willing to try it, to try playing in the middle, whatever her team needs, you know?
That ball is definitely down, no question about that. So we open things up. Stephanie Samity with the kill, and Marika Vandermark will come back on. If you're just joining us, Baylor ranked number 10 in the country, Minnesota at number 7. It was 26-24 Baylor in the first, and Minnesota easily 25-16, and then much of the same, Baylor turning the tables 25-17 in the third. Pressley again. Boy, she is starting to heat it up, and they know how to use her and how to find her.
And there she is again out of that right back rotation. And, you know, Coach said one of the things he would have to think about is she better out of the back row than maybe another player would be out of right front in that rotation? And right now the answer is certainly yes. She's looking really good out of right back.
Bramschreiber, that was a tough chance. A sprawling chance, could not quite keep that ball on her side of the net. And number 23 in white, Katie Myers, for the tap down for the Golden Gophers.
And Baylor will be looking to get Schaffmaster off the service line as soon as possible. She has been a very effective server here tonight.
Been working area 5, which is in the left back. And goes there again. Good swing off the edge of the block. Harrison once again. Lauren Harrison wearing number 31 in green. Was that Skinner that got that kill, Missy?
That was Skinner, yeah. And interestingly, you can tell that all 3 of these outsides are training from both pins, both antennas, because we have seen Harrison, we've seen Skinner and Pressley all look very comfortable with swings out of right front.
We'll get it up for you when time allows, but both of these teams have scheduled murderous non-conference slates, both of them. And a lot of it down your way. Florida plays a key role with both of these teams in the non-conference.
Yes, they do.
Not a great chance off the right side, missed out of bounds. I brought up the Gators. Talk to me about Mary Wise's team. Remember, they came within a whisker of knocking off Wisconsin last year. They eventually fell 3-2.
And they return everyone except for Holly Carlton, who played on the right side for them. They had a freshman there earlier today, Merritt Beeson, and they looked really strong, really comfortable. Obviously, a lot of rhythm for that team as they're very comfortable playing together. And the good news for Florida, you alluded to the fact that they play a big role in both of these teams' schedules. The good news for Florida is that they have these teams at home. Big advantage here in the pre-conference portion of the schedule.
They'll battle Kentucky for the top spot in the SEC again.
You would have to think so. I mean, I think there's that question mark with LSU this year. The fact that they have Kylie DeBerg, who's transferred from Mizzou to play alongside of, you know, their big gun, who they've always had swinging from the right side. And so, you know, maybe a more complete LSU team, but I still don't know if I think LSU can compete with the likes of Kentucky and Florida.
But LSU should be a tournament team going forward. They've got enough quality there to get into the tournament.
I would think so. Taylor Bannister being that big, excuse me, I didn't say her name, Taylor Bannister being that big player for LSU the past several years. She's always needed a little help to get over the hump, you know, and I think obviously Kylie DeBerg is more than a little help. She's a big help and an All-American outside hitter.
Yeah, Fran's going to have a nice team. That'll be exciting down at LSU, and as exciting as Josiana Presley has been. She, along like Samity, certainly has a professional future ahead of her somewhere in the world, and maybe at the Olympic Games as well. Vandermark is roofed. Long rally, some tired legs, particularly early in the season. Shea Rubright, 6'5" junior out of Yakima, Washington, getting in the book.
Yeah, we didn't know for sure if we would see Rubright after an ankle tweak that she had in practice, and yet here she comes. And so we continue to see Minnesota try new things in the middle.
Nice dig by McGraw. Joust coming. Sedgwick did a nice job keeping that ball alive and fighting for possession. What hustle by Samity coming off the net. And Vandermark finds a seam. Really wonderful effort by both teams.
Yeah, absolutely great effort on the part of Minnesota there, but Baylor ahead in that point when they got the free ball situation, you felt like they had to have it. And McGraw with that beautiful up. That is a huge rip by Avery Skinner, and McGraw able to keep that one in play.
42 digs now for Minnesota, 47 for Baylor. That was the 7th for McGraw. Some discussion at the scorer's table as far as the rotation is concerned, but play on. Samity is somehow able to tuck that ball down inside. There are no pictures on the scorecard.
Another kill for Samity and make it 18. Yasi Presley with 15. We knew coming into this match that those two could very well be a wash, that they would have big numbers, they'd battle one another, and the question mark might be who else from each team steps forward to put points on the board. And I'm not sure that anyone thought it would be Vandermark of Baylor, but good for her in her return after being injured last year in the tournament. A big performance, 13 kills already.
Wenis with a nice dig, but deflected off the scoreboard above center court. If the ball deflects off the scoreboard and stays on your side, play on. But if it goes over to your opponent's side, then that's a violation. So point in possession to Vandermark and Baylor. She will give way. Last two sets have both been blowouts after a deuce opening set. Landfair. What a nice read. Samity is really defending her position and hustling a lot at both ends. Landfair going high to register that kill off the edge of the block.
Absolutely. Samity, not just an offensive player. She's covering a lot of court back there. And I feel like we haven't called Landfair's name enough. She's quietly gone about her business, has 9 kills now, hitting .280.
McGraw misses that over the end line, taking a little bit of pressure off of Baylor. Minnesota in a must-win set situation, trailing 2-1. Tomorrow it will be Baylor versus Wisconsin in front of a jam-packed field house. I looked up the capacity, 7,053. I guarantee you there'll be more than that. It's already officially a sellout.
And not only will they be there, they'll be there an hour out for warm-ups, if I know my Wisconsin fans.
Well, at least it won't be snowing outside.
Yes.
Not yet, I don't think. Oh, that's good hustle once again. The quick turnaround for all of these teams. Minnesota, Baylor, losers in the second round, so they were playing into mid-April last year, and here we are a little over 4 months later, and they're right back at it. Tough chance. Nice save by Bramschreiber. Baylor should convert here. And Skinner off the top of the block. Avery Skinner's been a little bit quiet, still finding her footing. I mean, these teams, and all the teams are on the same situation, but they only have a couple of weeks to prepare. It seems way, way too accelerated for me.
Yeah, as Coach Hugh McCutcheon of Minnesota said to us, he said it's a sprint to competency. You know, that they're begging for more summer contact hours with their players. It's a very shortened preseason. When you and I talked, Paul, you compared it to basketball, how many more contact days they have, their coaching staff with their players prior to their first game. And for volleyball, it's really crammed in there.
Well, some of it has to do, of course, with volleyball starting. Here we are August 27th, as opposed to basketball starting in November. I get that, but 2 weeks of preseason,
yeah.
I mean, to me, you know, if you're talking about athlete welfare and building up slowly and not having injuries and having to accelerate, I think something's got to be addressed there. I'm not the one to find the answer. I just ask the questions.
But the coaches do have to deal with the volume versus the looming level of competition that you're alluding to there, Paul, in terms of, you know, they need volume to work their players back in, but then they know what's coming. You know, they have to be fresh, and it's a very difficult thing to manage.
Tied at 10. Minnesota trailing 2-1. Free ball. All the options. Better block by Baylor. Good cover by McGraw.
And I feel like Minnesota really missed an opportunity there with the free ball situation in the middle of that rally. It was a very slowly developing play in the middle that Baylor was able to be all over there, and Minnesota just had a golden opportunity.
And speaking of golden, that gives me an opportunity to put a little more much-deserved love into the column of Justine Wong-Orantes after that nice play by CeCe McGraw. There were a lot of question marks about Wong-Orantes. She answered them all and then some, and not only in serve receive, defense covering. Justine Wong-Orantes had as big a role in the USA team's success as anybody else on that roster.
Absolutely.
Tied at 11.
No doubt. Yeah, she was a lot of fun to watch.
Boy, that was a really nice set delivered by Sedgwick, having to go long range over her head to number 31 Harrison.
Yeah, Sedgwick really comfortable setting the right side, and not just to one player. She's not just in a rhythm setting one player on the right side. We've seen kills on the right side from Harrison, Presley, from Skinner. We've seen them from Vandermark. So setting multiple players at that right pin and doing it very efficiently.
That ball served just out of bounds, so it looks like we're going to have a real battle to close this one out if you're Baylor, or to stay alive if you're Minnesota.
Typically, I would say with Samity, one of the big guns going to the back row, that Baylor really need to get the most out of these next 3 rotations and try to score points. But I'm not sure that Minnesota misses any offense with Samity, because she's just as good out of the back row.
And Hugh McCutcheon said that she is really improving, and we've seen that at the defensive end. She is defending position #1. When she's serving and playing in the right back, or when she's in the right front, she has made some really good hustle plays. And she's in a good spot, because when she turns pro, other than a 6 well, all the players are 6 rotations internationally, but if you can score points as an opposite, you're going to sign a nice contract.
Yeah, speaking of importance in the Olympic gold medal match, how about the depth of USA's right side? Jordan Thompson, amazing. And then when she goes down to injury, Annie Drews was phenomenal.
Both teams hustling from offense to defense and back again. And Jenna Wennis puts that ball away. And back to Annie Drews. She did not get off to a perfect start. She was hitting negative halfway through that opening set. And Kevin Barnett and I, we were wondering or speculating if Jordan Thompson might get a look, because she was nearly 100%. But Cart stayed with Drews, and that paid off. Drews had a very, very nice gold medal match.
Yeah, she certainly turned it around.
Congratulations to Annie Drews, getting married right after the Olympics, as did Jordan Larson to David Hunt here in Malibu. They are now in Omaha, Nebraska, celebrating their nuptials. David Hunt, the head men's volleyball coach at Pepperdine.
A busy season for those ladies.
Yep. Oh, that ball just out of bounds. That was a tough chance, and it's 14-13. Just a last note on Jordan Larson. I took she and her now husband, David Hunt, out to play golf a couple of Sundays ago. She outdrove me by miles. I mean, man, oh man. She really put me in my place.
There's nothing to be ashamed of when a gold medalist outdrives you.
Smart shot by Skinner, showing some of that experience.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Paul. That's what Avery Skinner brings you, a really trash situation, and she comes in and just cleans it up. Doesn't just clean it up, but scores a point.
Skinner again, just looping that ball in play. Good first contact. And Samity, and you made the point, it doesn't matter for Minnesota if their offense is just as lethal whether she's in the front row or the back row. We'll step aside, media timeout. Must-win situation for Minnesota. But in the broader scheme of things, trailing 2-1. Back with Missy Whittemore. Let's take a look at number 10 Baylor's, their non-conference schedule. Well, until they get to McNeese State, they're not going to be looking at an easy one. No offense against McNeese State.
Yeah, 5 of their first 6 are on the road versus top 10 opponents. And then throw in a receiving votes Tennessee and their home opener against a top 25, number 23 Rice. I mean, absolutely brutal pre-conference, but they are going to be well tested. And as you alluded to, they may not get that test in the Big 12 outside of Texas. So a really good schedule.
Yeah, really, really good challenge. And back-to-back. If you're going to go to Florida, why not? Yeah, let's play them twice. Why not?
Well, Coach said
Service
that was
winner
not
by Minnesota.
Coach said that was not the original plan, to play Florida twice. They had a team back out, and so they were left with that option. And they said Pitt was also a late developing opponent, not necessarily wanting to play another top 10 opponent in that slot either, but that's the way things worked out.
Nice play by Vandermark off the right side. I'll tell you, if Baylor goes on and wins this match, Vandermark will have as much to do with it as anybody else on the floor, number 10 in green.
Would not argue with you one bit. She's playing so well. 14 kills, hitting over 400 right now, and being asked to do some things that are not natural for her. The blocking movement out of the middle, it's a lot of hard work, and she has really taken on the role.
In her 5th year working on her masters. Give you her numbers from last year compared to what she's doing tonight. She is having a career match against a quality opponent. Nice block out of the middle once again by Rubright. But back to number 10, Marika Vandermark. She only hit 233 last year. Again, her season was ended by injury, but she's hitting 407 so far.
Yeah.
And back with she's one of 23 who made this trip for Baylor. The largest contingent ever to play in a volleyball match. Service ace. Nice play by number 7 in the maroon libero jersey, CeCe McGraw.
We've talked about how good Minnesota has been from the service line all night long, and right here in a must-win situation, they really need to make a push. CeCe McGraw comes through.
9 aces against 11 errors for Minnesota. A huge block. That was really a momentum swing, and McGee out of the middle with some help from Skinner et al. Shutting down Wennis on the pipe.
Yeah, you felt like Baylor really needed that one as Minnesota was starting to pull away just a little bit. Nice movement there by Skinner to provide some help from the left side.
Chance for Baylor to get within 1. Maybe to McGee. Oh, huge block. Well, one good block deserves another.
That's Taylor Landfair at the left antenna, but Katie Myers, great job moving to her left. Gets there, tries to take away the angle, but it's really Landfair that takes care of that one.
6'5" on the outside. I'm not sure I'd be swinging low seam against number 12 in white. Probably not a good formula for success. Might need to aim a little bit higher. Feels like we're going to play 5.
Yes, it does.
Really nice crossbody. Harrison's had some tough kills. And so has Avery Skinner. Skinner going back now. That was a clutch kill now, 8 on 24.
Yeah, and she passes deep at her right back and then just goes and gets it.
That was a magnificent swing. Really good hustle that time by Hannah Sedgwick to get down to that tough dig.
Yeah, able to put that ball up with a killable set for Presley, and it was Skinner out of middle back, who I think has done a great job keeping balls up for Baylor out of middle back.
Timeout is called by Minnesota, and Josiana Presley right now in the front court, and I'm sure Hugh McCutcheon will be.
They do get that home opportunity against Texas, which is a big opportunity on their home court, but then they'll be on the road when they play Florida, when they play Stanford, when they play Oregon. Stanford at a neutral site, and those are going to be really, really fun ones to keep your eye on here in the pre-conference portion of the schedule.
It's a wonderful way to build the game when the top teams are not concerned or not quote unquote afraid to play one another. And you've got 2 programs, as we've seen with their non-conference schedules, that are getting out there. Texas is doing the same, obviously. Florida is doing the same because it works conversely. Nice play down the line by number 23 Myers.
And the good news for those coaches who aren't afraid to get out on the road and play the top teams in the country is that it's good for their RPI. And so they can afford to get out there and do that. It builds their RPI.
(20-18). Once again, Minnesota trailing 2 sets to 1. Must win here to force a 5th set tiebreaker. That is a gift. A gift donated by Baylor. Sloppy play, and Wennis is right there. Off the edge of the block and down. Why not? A heavy dose of Presley.
I was going to say never when Yassiana Presley is in the front row. There's certainly still life here for Baylor.
17, make it 18 kills on 46 swings. Remember, Baylor has to play #2 Wisconsin tomorrow night. Oh, big swing. Nice response by Samity.
Yeah, immediate answer from Samity. Very nice. Shaftmaster, good delivery. And you know Baylor was expecting the ball to Samity. You see 2 blockers up, but just an elite level swing.
Oh, a service error. A gift that time from Minnesota. Trying to serve tough, but missing that ball just over the end line. Coming on once again, number 23, Lauren Briseño. 5'7" freshman out of San Antonio. Good defender, good in serve reception as well.
And a freshman serving here in a high-stress situation.
Samity again.
Samity,
not brain surgery.
Senior. Yeah, everyone knows who to give it to. Samity, that 5th-year senior, just making it look easy and coming through in the big moments.
And not only does Minnesota feels like they've got a pretty good matchup there. Maybe Baylor going to take a timeout, talk this one over, and get a different set of hands in front of Stephanie Samity for Ryan McGuire. Samity went over 1,500 kills. That was 10th on the all-time list at Minnesota. And start things off. This is the 2nd edition of a 2021 volleyball season.
Yeah, and you know, the thing about Samity is she's big in the big moments. She had 5 20-plus kill matches a season ago, and if you take a look at the opponents, she did it against all the big opponents on the roster. These weren't against small guns, but she plays big in the big matches. She has to, because she carries a huge load for this Minnesota Gophers team offensively. They are going to find her in must-have situations, and she comes through time and time again.
Once again, Wisconsin was picked to win the Big Ten Conference. Devin Robinson, kind of a revelation there for the Badgers last year. The only player they lost was Molly Haggerty. Nebraska, the #1 recruiting class. John Cook, I've been following Nebraska since I got back from Tokyo. They've got a lot of talented freshmen who are pushing some of the veterans for playing time. Penn State picked to finish 3rd. They've added Adana Rollins and another transfer from Maryland. Minnesota picked 4th. Purdue picked 5th. Here's the AVCA poll once again. Minnesota 2 points away from sending this to a 15-point tiebreaker. There'll be no side change, as there has not been all night long. There's your top dozen so far. See, pretty heavily weighted between the Big Ten Conference, with some others thrown in.
Texas, Wisconsin, just completely loaded again from what we saw a season ago. Washington as well. So many players, as we mentioned, coming into this one, returning for that 5th season, that extra year of eligibility granted because of COVID. And you're going to see some deep, talented rosters, some experienced rosters, that's for sure.
Samity with a service ace. Why not? Let's start the season with 2 ranked teams in the top 10 and play 5.
Absolutely. And Samity already starting this one off with a 20-kill match, her first night out.
It's ace number 10 now for Samity and the Golden Gophers. Set point #1. Good pass. Quickly off the edge of the block by number 22, Yazzie Presley.
And the 10 service aces you just mentioned for Minnesota, a huge number in any match, but particularly we compare it to Baylor, who only has 2 at this point.
10 aces against 12 errors. That's a really good night serving so far, and they've needed it. Set point #2. Samity right on the sideline. It was called in by the linesman and overruled, and no challenge requested by Hugh McCutcheon. So another set point for Minnesota. That ball was definitely called in by the linesman, but overruled by the first referee, and she's a good one. And missed out of bounds. Minnesota's got a timeout left. And they're going to take it right here. So Baylor has been able to dodge 3 set points, and Minnesota will call a timeout to talk this one over. They led it 24-20. This week, Sunday Night Baseball. That game is the series finale between the Yankees and the A's at the Coliseum in Oakland on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. One app, one tap. God, I'm going to love that all year long. Our coverage begins at 6 Eastern with baseball tonight. Sunday night countdown. The Yankees have won 11 straight and are 19-4 in August. Did you see the Field of Dreams game?
Yes. Wow.
Was that the coolest thing ever? That was amazing. I loved every second of that.
Yeah, our whole family, we watched that. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Loved that. So coming out of the timeout, remember Minnesota trailing 2-1. They have already had 3 set points. Samity, a ball very, very close to the sideline. The linesman called it in, but it was overruled and called out of bounds. And then Wenis, who's had a very, very nice starting debut, big role debut, if you will, number 2 for Jenna Wenis for Minnesota. And if this ball doesn't go to Samity, I will be very surprised. Just like we went to Jordan Larson to win the gold medal.
That's right. Tell you, moments ago it seemed inevitable that we'd be going to a 5th set.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden there's some pressure on Minnesota.
And who is serving? Remind me who is serving. Is it Briseño still for Baylor?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so either. You got to serve in, but you've got to have the confidence to serve tough as well. It's Presley, and I think you couldn't ask for anybody better. And then look for her out of the back row if Baylor is able to keep this ball off the floor. Set point number 4 for Jenna Wenis in Minnesota. They're going to get a look at it. Look at that. They go to Samity. She tips, and it was rejected by Vandermark. Tied at 24.
And before that, you had already mentioned the impact that Vandermark has had on this match. And here she is in the biggest moment with another big play.
Better pass, Samity again. Oh, tough chance. I think Presley felt like she was closer to the bleachers than she actually was, and just kind of whiffed on that second contact.
Yeah, and so unfortunate because she had the foot speed to make a play on it. She was there in plenty of time with her foot speed, but as you said, just a bit of a whiff on the attempt.
Set point number 5.
And it was a pretty easy serve that Presley put over. Minnesota passed that perfectly. We'll see if Minnesota's any more aggressive here from the service line.
Here is freshman Glenn just lobbing that ball in. Nice dig by McGraw. Samity. And can't get that ball to go. Tied at 25.
All-American versus All-American. Samity swinging right into the left side block of Avery Skinner. Wow.
Seven stuff blocks now for Baylor, make it 8 for Minnesota. Working on Landfair. Free ball, Baylor. What a gutsy set. Sedgwick going in the middle that time to McGee.
I couldn't agree more. We haven't seen a lot of that over the course of the match. Sedgwick sailing off the net and trusting that timing there with McGee to go to her in transition. But realize these are players that played together in big moments in 2019. And as we said, Sedgwick battled injuries last year, but they're starting to find a rhythm here.
Match point Baylor. Good serve to Landfair. Oh, the ball dug. Tough chance that time for Presley working behind the block. Just could not keep it on her side of the net. One match point saved.
And I would not have thought
Minnesota
that
plays
it would be...
TCU. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Missy. Excuse me.
No, go ahead.
Minnesota plays TCU tomorrow. And Baylor gets Wisconsin. Busy weekend.
That?
Skinner taking some tough swings. And going to take another. That's way off the net. Nice play by Samity again. All night long playing wonderful defense.
And Avery Skinner takes a deep breath.
Man, she had to take some difficult swings. A lot of reinforcements over there in green on the sideline. Match point number 2. Working on Landfair. And rejected. A stuff block out of the middle. Headed up by number 17, McGee.
What a finish by Baylor when it looked like Minnesota was going to push it to 5. Baylor just would not go away. Some big blocks there at the end of set 4.
Remember, it was 24-20.
Yes.
Minnesota had 5 set points, and McGee with the stuff. That was a good aggressive swing, but Baylor just better for it, and Avery Skinner got a piece as well.
And all 23 of the Bears in on the celebration.
Boy, that was really a fun match. Handed to Baylor. They kept playing. They got a lucky break, if you will. That ball hit just out of bounds. Remember, it would have been a set point that time for Samity. It was called in by the linesman. It was overruled, and there was no challenge because I think it was 24-20.